The introduction to life science. The study of life is an interesting journey. So, we are in the lesson that we will discuss about organisms. So, if we say organisms, we are included. All right. So, life science is a fundamental part of learning about organisms and the basic units of life that are present in our lives. So we have here the historical development of the concept of life. So we have, there are two biographies of life. The first one is the ontogenic, synthetic, and developmental. If we say ontogeny, uh, is the origination and development of an organism. That is both for physical and psychological. So we have an example, the moral development. Usually, this starts from the time of fertilization of the egg to adult. Okay. Next, we have the synthetic. If we say synthetic, these are substances or products made by chemical synthesis. Synthetic means they are undergoing chemical process. And the third is the developmental, which means it concerns with the evolution of animals and plants. Next, we have here the second biography of life, the historical collective populational, diachronic, and evolutionary process. If we say diachronic, this concern with the way in which something, especially language, has developed and evolved through time. So, ibig sabihin, we have different stages in development. Okay, so there are evolution or the evolution process we have in life since we started from being a baby or a young until we reach adulthood, and also this this is an example also for the plants and animals which undergo different stages in life. So next, we have the two main pillars that sustain life are the metabolism and the genetics. So organisms also use external sources in order to fight against death. So tayo as people, uh, kumakain tayo ng mga food, kumakain tayo, umiinom tayo to sustain life, no? So we need those energy to protect us at para tayo po ay maging healthy. So ito yung isang ibig sabihin of metabolism. We have the metabolism. This is the process by which the body changes food and drink into energy. All right. If we take or we took food and water to give us energy, nako-convert natin to into something very useful. And metabolism, this is also concerned about the breaking down of food. Okay, breaking down of food into sugars that are needed by our body. Okay, so each living thing on Earth uses external energy to fight the disorder and to maintain equilibrium. So we have the second one for the pillars of life. The second is the genetics. If we say genetics, this is the scientific study of genes and heredity. Okay, of how certain qualities or traits are passed from parents to offspring as a result of changes in DNA sequence, sorry. The change, acquisition, and loss of fragments of information from cells underlie the evolutionary process. So now we have here the question, what is life? So for the others or for the scientists, The definition of what constitutes life is a hard question. However, life can be loosely defined as a living being in any autonomous system with open-ended evolutionary capacities. So, ibig sabihin, you can do uh, things with your capacity. So, life is defined as any system capable of performing functions such as eating, yes, we eat, metabolizing, excreting, breathing, moving, growing, reproducing, and responding to external stimuli. So the term autonomy refers to the organism's relationship with its environment. So we have different relationship in our ecosystem. So those are the mutualism, commensalism, predation, competition, and etc. So we have here different diversity of life. So as you can see, these are examples of animals and plants. So we are also included. The humans are also included in organisms. So ibig sabihin, we have life. All right. On the other hand, the term open-ended evolution refers to the capacity of living things to explore novel functions and relationship with the surroundings. So for example, in life, kailangan natin syempre ng kasama. So let us have an example, the relationship in the ecosystem mutualism. Okay. So there are organisms na kailangan natin. And also, they need them back, 'di ba? So the relationship is mutualism wherein we need each other. Okay? So another example is the predation. The lion runs after the mouse or the snake or the smaller animals in the forest. So ibig sabihin, the lion is the predator and it hunts smaller animals in the forest that we can call prey. We have here two branches to the tree of life. Okay, so the first one is the bacteria. Bacteria are small single-celled organisms. Bacteria are found or they are mostly found almost everywhere on Earth and are vital to the planet's ecosystem. And the second one is are the archaea, are a group of microorganisms that are similar to but evolutionary distinct from bacteria. So many of these have been found living in extreme environments. So for example of this extreme environment are with high pressures or salt concentrations or temperatures. So as you can see in our photo, this is an example or these are the picture of bacteria and the archaea. Okay. So we have the word heterotrophs, which means these are known as consumers because they consume producers or other consumers. So ibig sabihin ng heterotrophs, they are the consumers. So we are included in the heterotrophs, which means we consume or we eat the producers and other consumers. So example of this are dogs, birds, fish, and humans. So those are examples. An autotroph is an organism that can produce its own food. All right. So by looking at the meaning, they can produce its own food using light, water, carbon dioxide, and other chemicals. So the autotrophs produce their own food. So they are also known as the producers. So pagdating po sa producers, sino po ba yung nakakapag-produce ng food using light, water, carbon dioxide? So autotrophs are the plants. All right? So they are the plants. And the heterotrophs, they are the consumers. So the unifying themes in the study of life. So the study of life with themes that are common to all living things. So these themes are important for characterizing what living things are and can help in the study of their origin as well, and as well as their characters. Okay, so we have the word evolution. So what do we mean by evolution? It is the mechanism by which an organism adapts to its environment. And the term biology, this is the scientific study of life. All right? So if we study life, uh, biology is the branch of science that deals with it. Okay, so life is recognized through a set of characteristics. So for example lang po natin dito sa mga set of characteristics natin na to. Ang bawat plants kasi, ang bawat animals, may mga kanya-kanyang group yan, may kanya-kanyang kingdom, ganyan. So, like tayo bilang magkakapatid, halimbawa sa magkakapatid, we all have different characteristics, no? May masungit, may hindi, di ba? So, ganun din po yung ating mga plants and animals. They have set of characteristics. Okay, so we have different theme here. So the first theme is the new properties emerge at successive levels of biological organization. Okay, so the study of life can be as great as on a global scale to as small as the study of cellular organisms. So we have the word reductionism is the approach of breaking down complex systems into simpler systems that are more manageable for study. Okay, so for the molecular structure of DNA can be broken down in order to understand the chemical basis of inheritance. So we have an example down complex system. Complex system. So our complex system is the molecular structure of DNA. Now, to simply understand what is this molecular structure of DNA, we need to break it down to simpler system, which is we can break down in order to understand its chemical basis of inheritance. Okay, the second is the emergent properties. So, emergent properties are properties that are new and that emerge at each level of organization. So, these properties are absent from the preceding level. Systems biology is a system that combines components that function together. Okay, this type of biology attempts to model the dynamic behavior of whole biological system, which are based on the study of the interaction between the parts of the system. Okay? So we have different system. For example, different system in our body. We have the digestive system, reproductive system, nervous system, and etc. Structure and function. This is the major theme in biology. So that is the organism's form must fit in its function. For example, you have a hummingbirds. A hummingbird's wings are designed to beat rapidly and to set it to fly. Okay, so analyzing the structure of organisms gives clues as to how it works. Okay, and we have here the cell. The cell is the basic unit of life structure and function. So this is the lowest level of biological organization and can perform all the activities required for it to survive. All right, so let us move with the second theme. Our theme two, life's processes, involve the expression and transmission of genetic information. So the division of cell to form new cells is the basic foundation for growth and reproduction of all organisms. So in the dividing cell, we have the so-called DNA or the deoxyribonucleic acid. Okay, that is replicated and then partitioned between two resulting daughter cells. So the DNA is where the genes are found. Those genes are the basic units of inheritance that transmit the genetic information from parents to offspring. So this DNA controls the development and maintain of the whole maintenance of the whole organism. So it is also responsible directly for everything that organism does. And also, the DNA is the storage space for genetic information. So it is composed of nucleic acids, which are building blocks of genes. And also, DNA controls the production of proteins through an intermediate molecule. So this intermediate molecule is known as ribonucleic acid or the RNA. And the process of transcribing genetic information to proteins known as gene expression. All right. So for not all RNA are transcribed into proteins. All right. So that is for the DNA. So for example, diabetic ka. So may possibility nakuha mo ito, na-inherit mo ito from your parents o kaya from your grandparents. Alright? That is because po of the inheritance or yung tinatawag nating transmission of genetic information from parents to offspring. Next, we have the theme 3. Life requires the transmission and transformation of energy and matter. Right. So a fundamental characteristic of all living things is that they use energy to carry out their activity. So actually tayo, we need breakfast, 'di ba? So ang sabi nga nila, wag ka nang kumain ng lunch or ng dinner, pero kailangan mo kumain ng breakfast para mabigyan ka ng energy for the whole day. Okay. Growing and moving requires work. And this work requires energy, of course. So, tubig, pagkain. So, kailangan yan ng mga living organisms. So, living organisms function to transform the types of energy. Okay. So, for instance, we have here the solar energy is transformed to chemical energy or the sugar through the process of photosynthesis. So photosynthesis is the process of food making for the plants. And the flow of energy in living things starts with producers. So producers are the plants to consumers. And consumers are the animals and the humans. Ayan. And then to decomposition. So pag decomposition, nabubulok na. So we have the bacteria and the fungi. All right, so do not forget that the producers are the plants or the autotrophs, because the autotrophs produce their own food or the food by using the sunlight, the water, and carbon dioxide. And we are, including the animals and the other consumers, the heterotrophs. All right, so let us move with theme 4. So in theme 4, we have the from ecosystem to molecules. Interactions are important in biological systems. So we have the ecosystem. Ecosystem encompasses an organism's interaction with the physical environment and other organisms. So at the level of the ecosystem, each organism interacts with other organisms. So nagkakaroon po ng interaction between organisms to others. In addition to this, organisms also interact with other factors of the physical environment. So what do we mean by ecosystem? Ecosystem is a biological community of interacting organisms and their physical environment. So ito po yung environment natin. Dito po nagaganap yung iba't ibang ecological relationship and interactions ng ating mga tayo, ng consumers, ng producers, etc. Okay, so according to our team 4, molecules interact with organisms. So, the regulation of biological process is important for the operation of living things. The chemical process of the cells are mediated by active proteins called enzymes. So, meron tayong tinatawag na enzymes. And the chemical pathway contains several steps, and each step is called by an enzyme or controlled by any enzymes. So the biological process regulates themselves through a mechanism called feedback regulation. So we have picture here. So as you can see, we have different ecological relationships that is included in our team 4, no? So meron tayong relationship that that are being available or nagaganap to sa ating ecosystem. So we have the predation, ayan. So the predation. Next, the competition. Okay, nagkakaroon din ng competition. Then next, the parasitism. Ayan. Commensalism. And we have the mutualism. So those are the ecological process or the ecological relationships. And for our theme 5. So for the theme 5, the evolution is the core theme of biology. So the organisms exhibit the diversity as well as the unity of evolution. So we have the so-called evolution. Living organisms have shared traits, okay, shared traits or the unity. Each organism is suited to its own environment. All organisms are transcended from a common ancestor. Okay. And according to Charles Darwin, Charles Darwin proposed the theory of evolution after observing animals from his boat. So meron tayo dito tinatawag na theory of evolution that is proposed by Charles Darwin, that by observing the animals, dito niya na-propose na humans came from apes. So, nag-start daw tayo dito sa stage na ito and nagkaroon ng evolution na tinatawag. So, that is the theory of evolution.